Hi, good evening. It's Jacqueline Richardson, Miss JJ Diamond, Jackie Deja, whatever y'all call me. It's been a long evening. I had forgot today was supposed to be the City of Charlotte Council meeting. And I got my text from Alexa telling me that it was 5 o'clock. It was time for the meeting. However, the good thing was I wasn't late. They start the council meeting at 5 privately, and then they let the public come in and speak. And I was able to get on that list today to speak. I wasn't able to speak about a whole bunch of topics. However, I felt mental health was the most needed topic to talk about. So I talked about that today. I think they put it on YouTube so y'all guys can see that. I'm not sure, but I do see some council meetings on YouTube. And I wanted to address the fact that we need better mental health organizations here in Charlotte without waiting lists. We can't wait on mental health because anything can possibly happen. They instructed me that that is actually a county issue, and they will address it and get with the county, and I guess the county will contact me, I guess, so we can see what can possibly be done to have better counseling and therapy here for our people. She did bring up the Smith family system, which I was going to Smith family. However, I lost track of them. So they became one of the bad sides of therapy and counseling as well as the rest of them. So this is why we got to get to the bottom of some things. It could be something that they've done, or it may not be. Who knows? But we have to get to the bottom of it because people need the therapy. Not only does the working family need therapy, the schools need therapy. Okay? On a regular basis. I did talk about how they need more funding in the schools with therapy, how they need to be able to separate the kids that have disabilities, over the kids that don't, so that way they won't be able to interact, because the kids with disabilities need more intensifying therapy than a regular normal kid. And it's a lot of red tape with all of that. However, they need to implement all these things in the schools here in Charlotte. I did tell them that I had spoke with one of the superintendents here at the charter school, and they're all for it. They just need the funding. So we're going to continue to work towards getting these charter schools and CMS as well, schools, the funding that they need to help these kids, so more kids will graduate, more kids will stay in school. Okay, and the kids won't have to interact with kids with disabilities, so it won't interact with their academics and their learning process. I ran into some other organizations that was there. One was called bybg.org is their website. And one of the owners, I met two of the owners. I didn't get to the names of all the owners, but I got two names, and one was Big Red, and the other one is Mr. Roosevelt. They run an organization right here in Charlotte. They were all born here in Charlotte, and they work in the streets just like I do. So I take my hats off to them guys because it's a lot of work, and I've been doing it. I had people helping me, of course, but, people got to move on with their lives. But these guys are totally dedicated, like myself, into helping these kids learn and get the help that's needed to succeed in life. And it's not easy. They Big Red brought up a big issue at the meeting. He was also speaking at the meeting, and he was talking about the funding. And yes, it is a big issue with funding. I can't keep people helping me because I don't have the funding to pay them. So I have to do things on a day-to-day basis myself, because I don't have the people to come in and, and say, hey, I could be here for 8 hours and do this, do that, help planning, help do this with the kids. So I do as much as I possibly can by myself because I don't have the funding. And I put a lot of my money up in order to make certain things happen. Even the safety of the children, Big Red was telling me that they have a camp. I'm going to get more information about their organization. And I'm going to be teaming up with them guys, doing some things. Matter of fact, I'm going to be meeting with them tomorrow on a situation that they have going on, that I have the information and I can help them through it. And I know there's other things that they can help me through as well. And this is what we got to do as organizations. We have to work together, okay? I just been getting tired of helping different businesses and different organizations, and then once they get going, they just say, forget me, and just leave me in the dust, and it's heartbreaking, However, this organization has been established, so I don't think that they would do that to me. They need the help just as well as I need the help too. So we're talking about coming together and try to work on some things. His biggest issue is the violence with our young youth, and we had a situation that happened here last night, which is so heartbreaking once again. And I told y'all, and I'm going to keep telling y'all, okay? The gun shooting has to stop. It has to stop. This innocent baby, 8 years old, got shot sleeping in her bed. Now I want to tell y'all about bedroom safety also. A lot of people think I'm crazy when I say certain things, but I do it for a reason. And, I constantly tell people I come from the South Bronx, okay? And in the South Bronx, and growing up in the South Bronx, I've seen a whole lot, okay? It's so bad where some days, I when I start to reminisce and think about the Bronx, I have to shake it off because I'm glad I was able to get my kids out of there. However, to move to another state and still see the same things going on years and years later. So it's heartbreaking, I pray that this little girl, survives. She is still alive, but it should have never happened. So we're going to talk about bedroom safety right now. I want to talk about that. People, like I was saying, people think I'm crazy sometimes when I say things, because they don't understand why, why I say certain things. And God has taken me down these journeys for a reason. So I have to teach y'all what I know. And just like I told them on the news when the news reporter interviewed me, it's all about knowledge. If people don't have the knowledge, they don't know how to proceed with life. And we got to continue to teach, okay? And like I explained to him, like with parents, a lot of these parents are single parents. How do you raise a son, I mean, I was fortunate to raise a son, but I did have his father. His father wasn't in the household, but I did have his father, and he was always a phone call away, and he had uncles, and, they helped me get through it with him, but not everybody has that, and not everybody was brought up the proper way, so they don't know what to do, and then their child go buck wild, and then they're wondering why and how, what do I do? It just bothers me so bad when a child gets hurt, I just talked about the young fella in, was it Detroit? No, I forget where it was. Kansas, I think. It was Kansas. And now here, a child of ours has gotten struck by gunfire of drive-by shooting. Okay. Why are y'all drive-by shooting? Is my question. I mean, I need to understand. You know, if you want to kill a person, you want to kill them direct. You don't want to be shooting up everybody. Bullets flying anywhere. And I told y'all that. This is why y'all need to go to the range. Okay? We can't tell y'all to stop because y'all don't listen. Yeah, we tell y'all to stop and y'all don't listen. So, go to the range and learn how to shoot your targets instead of innocent bystanders. This baby was in her bed. Just think if you was in your bed and a bullet came through the window and shot you. Whoever you may be. It's something to think about. Think about if it was your little sister. How would you feel right now? Because somebody went buck wild and wanted to be shooting, talking about they doing a drive-by shooting. We're hurting our own people in our own communities. It's lack of knowledge in our communities. It's lack of self-love in our communities. And this is why we work the communities, to give our kids that love. You know, when I go outside, I love all my babies, and they know it too. I stop and talk to them, you know, and I could tell when they sad, what's going on. I tell them something. Sometimes they don't even want to tell me what's going on, because it could be some street stuff that they don't even want me to get involved in. But I can see it in their face, you know, when something is going wrong with them. And they talk to me. But before you go out here shooting somebody, go talk to somebody about it. Because now whoever this child is or this person that did this drive-by shooting, when you get caught, now you got to do time in jail. And it's going to affect your life as well. Just like it's affecting hers. It's going to affect both parties. Now we don't just have one child with a traumatic loss. We have two. One is a victim of lack of knowledge, lack of self-worth. And I spoke to the news reporter. He was asking me, you know, well, what do I think about it? You know, and all I can say is it has to stop. We have to continue to teach. It's all about knowledge. What you are physically doing to yourself. When you pull a trigger, what can possibly happen? This is why I tell people, stop you overthinking. You must overthink. Because you need to know the consequences of your actions, good and bad. You must analyze every situation. Even when you go to the bathroom, you have to analyze it. You don't just get up and go. You say to yourself, well, if I go right now, I could go right now and get it over with. Or I can wait and hold it a little bit. But if I hold it, it can mess up my bladder. It's okay to think it through. I'm so sick and tired of social media. And these people putting things out there and then they become trends. And it be lack of knowledge. We must think about everything we do because it can affect us for life. Not only does this person that shot this girl, not only does He have to deal with the fact that he may get caught and go to jail. But then he got to deal with the fact of what could happen to him in jail. That little girl can have family members that's in jail. Not only that, the ultimate, he has to deal with God. Was it done intentionally? No. But it was intentional for somebody else. So these are the things that we got to think about. We have to think these things through. I know when I get quiet, I'm thinking. Sometimes I have to go to sleep and wake up. Sometimes we let our anger get the best of us. Like today, I had a bad day. I had a real bad day. The beginning of my day was supposed to be a good day. I had got a call that affected my thinking, the way my life can be planned out for the next 3 years, 5 years. And it took me in a whirlspin, which allowed anxiety to set in. So in other words, I had an anxiety attack. This is why mental health is important. And even I have anxiety issues and sometimes mental issues because I'm dealing with so many other people's issues. It affects me as well. And this is why we have to target mental health in our state, in our city. It's a big factor. But as the day went on, things got better. And I ended it with a beautiful evening at the council meeting, being able to express how I feel and what should be done. And they're going to get me to the people that I need to talk to try to figure this thing out so we can get our kids, our next generation, this generation and next generation, the help that they need to be able to survive whatever we're going through. Be able to get the knowledge that they need to get through whatever comes at them. Everything is not done with killing or fighting. There's ways of getting around stuff. But if you don't have the knowledge, I get it. Or the way you've been brought up and the way you've seen your parents deal with certain situations because they didn't have the knowledge. I get it. What's that saying? We're a product of our environment. And it's actually true. We are a product of our environment. However, we don't always have to react to certain situations in our environment. It's a choice. And y'all know I'm big on choices. Your world, your choice. Y'all know that song? Canada still playing that song. Your world, your choice. But it's sad that sometimes there's always a third party that gets mixed up in other people's decision making and their choices. But this is the world that we live in, so we have to find a way to work around it. And that's touch base as much as we can with as many people as we can to give them the knowledge of life and get them to the point of life where they're willing to talk about the situations and understanding that it's okay to talk about the situations. You know, they said that a lot of the kids do a lot of the killing because of the rap music. But as I sit here and I think, a lot of the rappers also talk about their lives. If their parents were on drugs, if their parents was on welfare, how hard it was for them to live. But they're overlooking that part. Even with myself, I put my story out there about me and my little brother and the abuse that we went through to help teach. We don't want to talk about our bad situations and lives and what we did in our family members. We don't want to go down that road, but we do it because we want to teach. I got through it. You can too. You don't always have to go the negative routes. There's a way around it. I don't want to see my kids in jail. I talked to a person today from jail. And it kind of pissed me off. And they made the statement. And I was talking about someone. And they said, well, they better just go to jail. It's becoming a trend. Well, if life ain't right out here, I'll just go to jail. We had a guy bust a cop upside the head because he knew if he did something petty like steal something out of the store, he'd be out in 24 hours. So he bust the cop upside his head so he could get at least a year. So he can have 3 meals and a roof over his head. Because there's not enough resources on the ground for people to get the help that they need to survive. And they don't want to be homeless sleeping on the street. It's a choice. I saw some people downtown today. And I don't know what they were doing, but it looked like that they were laying on the ground on the concrete. And I looked over there and I said, I wonder if they're doing that to honor the homeless, to see how it feels to lay on the concrete, being homeless at night when they're out there. And you know what bothers me? It's how people will actually put themselves in their shoes just to feel it, just to get the feeling. I would never want to put myself in their shoes. So you see the thinking, the people's thinking process? I would never want to put myself in someone's shoes because that's their testimony, not yours. That's just like saying, and I also feel like it's mocking them instead of helping them. That's just like saying, oh, you want to see what it feels like to be nailed to a cross like Jesus Christ. Would you do that? So it kind of bothered me. Instead of being able to go there and find the homeless people sleeping and say, come on, I'm taking you to a room. I'm going to put you in a room where you can sleep in a bed like everybody else. Here's some food. But these are the things that people do, the so-called put themselves in other people's shoes. They want to feel it. to me is disrespect. I bet you they don't want to feel what I felt being locked in a room for 7 days with no food. Not being able to leave the room to even go to the bathroom. And had a window to look out of. They wouldn't want to feel that. I know they think they're doing a service, but the service is disrespectful. Because then people really be out there in the cold, sleeping, looking for their next meal. We got to do more to help people. Unity. Something Big Red has said today in the meeting. We're all supposed to be one. Unity. And it's crazy that he said that because that's what's on my business card. Unity is love and family together as one. As one. I don't know if y'all remember back about 10 years ago when I was in a shelter in Queens. And I met Dante Hawkins. And that song, oh Jesus. We are one. I think that's the name of it. The nation is one. That song will never die. It would never die. Because we are supposed to be one and help each other. We need to continue to teach. That's the biggest problem. The lack of knowledge, the lack of intelligence. The way people were raised. And they've taken it from generation to generation to generation. And it's a never-ending cycle. And then when you get to a certain level of life, after we untaught them, now I'm constantly teaching my babies. Constantly teaching my babies. My babies out here on the east side of Charlotte. My babies at Amazon. And some of the babies that I've met on the west side of Charlotte. I constantly teach my babies. Because they say, well, you like us. You've been in foster care. You've been abused. So how do we get through this? And I embrace them. And I try to give them as much knowledge as I possibly can. And then they may come back to me, some of them. But that didn't work for me. So now what can I do? And we try to figure it out together. Even if I have to stand for them. In other words, stand in place of them. To fight for them. Well, my mom was on drugs like yours. So what did you do? How did you feel? But I see you not on drugs. I see I lead by example. We're not going to follow that same cycle. Because that didn't work for my mom. It didn't work for my dad. Because if it did, me and my siblings wouldn't have had the life that we had. So I had to change the cycle. And everything I did in my cycle is not correct either. But then I leave it up to my kids and their generation to change it to be better. Each generation should get better. But we got to end the cycle somewhere. I talk to you guys and I use my life regarding the situations that you guys may go through. In other words, I put myself in y'all's shoes, but I use my life because some of the things I've been through as well. It makes it easier for me to communicate with you guys. And it's like I was telling the news reporter how I talk to y'all in lame terms instead of being an educated professional. Because nobody understands the educated professional if you're not educated. You got to get to that point first. And they all want to throw all of these educated words at y'all, and y'all don't understand the word they're saying. It's like they saying blah, 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 blah. So I talk to y'all in lame terms so y'all can understand, just like in the streets. So y'all can get the gist of what I'm saying. And that's just what it is. And this is why my kids understand me. And then they watch me. I don't only talk, I do. They watch me do. Well, Jackie did it. Or Miss Jackie did it. Miss Jackie goes through problems. I tell them, y'all don't know who. I'm hungry. I got to buy some food. I ain't got no monies. My bills is due. I'm not going to portray to have the best life, to give them a falsified knowledge. I'm going through it right along with y'all. Y'all hungry? I'm hungry too. Y'all got bills? Me too. How can I get some help? Y'all know anything? Y'all tell me some things. I tell y'all some things. We work together. And that's why my babies are becoming successful day by day. Every step and every day that they wake up, things are getting better and better for them. And I tell them it's the process. You have to trust the process. Knowledge and time. If you know something and you have time, you can get through it with discipline. And my babies believed me, and they see it, and they're trying to work it. And then they may get shot down with something. Oh, this is going on, that's going on. It's a part of life. Don't let it get you down. You want to talk about it? Let's talk about it. And this is one of the reasons why therapy is needed. Because they be needing somebody to talk to get through these tough times. Sometimes that's all it takes. They may be going through relationship issues, or their kids may be going through something. Their kids is sick, mentally, physically. You lose your mind. Their kids got mental issues. You know how hard it is to deal with a disabled child? Whether it be mental or physical. It takes your life away. And then all you can say, is this the life that I'm going to live for the rest of my life? Then you're losing your self-esteem. You're losing you. Then half of the time, these kids don't even have fathers or stable parents. And this is not just happening here in Charlotte. This is happening all around the world. But all we can work on what is happening here where we are. And it takes leaders in every state to come together and work and continue to teach. Whether we teach through God or we teach through books or life situations, it doesn't matter. We need to continue to teach. When it comes to our people, before these young kids grow up to be no good adults, because nobody decided to teach. And they're running amok at 30 and 40 years old. Do we want that? Because if they're running amok now, what's going to happen when they get 30 and 40? Something to think about. These are going to be the people that's going to be running our country. We have to continue to teach. And for right now, what I see needs of, we have to start with the mental health. We need more mental health facilities here in Charlotte, so we can get these mental health people off the street. I told y'all what the judge told me. How once they release them from the hospital, they can go live on the street. And we got to walk amongst these people. They may decide to have an episode and then we caught up in their episodes. That's not fair to the citizens. Where they do that at? This is why we have to get to the bottom of it. So y'all know I'm going to be waiting for Mecklenburg County to contact me so I can give them some insight on what we need to do to get the mental health not only in the schools, but out here for our everyday regular citizens, and get these mentally ill off the street. Just like some of the people that's homeless. They're homeless out there in the street because they have mental illnesses. And you just letting them sleep on the street. And then you got the other people blending in. We have to work on it. And the funding is there. But they need to put it in the city to help the people. I talk about the biggest problem in the urban communities is mental health. Yeah, of course, if y'all not giving the urban communities any help for it. Every human being has emotions. And if they're not addressed the proper way, they're going to have a mental illness. It's going to occur. That's the process. You breaking it down, breaking their mental down daily. So if they don't get it out or try to figure out the issue so they can get it off their back, it's going to turn into a mental illness. They're trying to find ways to cope. And they can't. Because the services is not put in place for them to cope. So they turn to drugs, alcohol, marijuana. Well, some of them need marijuana to calm themselves down. But on the real of it, they shouldn't have to turn to drugs to cope. Just like myself, I smoke cigarettes to cope. Because I would lose my mind some of the things that I go through. So I take a breather. I can't take off running. I used to do that at work. They told me stop running. So I can't take off running no more. Because my body would tell me to run. Because your body can feel it. Your body can feel when you're getting ready to go through a process that it doesn't like. And it has to learn how to cope. So it's a must needed thing here in Charlotte, North Carolina. This is the first state that I've ever lived in, out of all the states that I've lived in, where it's been so hard to get help with mental health. I've lived in Buffalo, New York. I lived in New York City. Born and raised in New York City. Bronx. I had counseling. Why? Because I was in foster care. It was mandatory. But New York is very equipped with mental health. Maryland, very equipped with mental health. And with Charlotte opening up their city to become bigger and better, they have to address it now because you're going to be getting people from all over the place. It has to be addressed now. This is a major, major thing that needs to be addressed now. Within the last 2 years, they had to kill, last year, 2 mental ill men was killed right here in the city of Charlotte. The cops had to kill them. Right here in Mecklenburg County. When the mental ill is supposed to be taken to the hospital to be evaluated on. Not to be dead. They're still a human being. They just have mental issues. And only God knows why they have the mental issues. Was it the life situations that they was going through? And we don't want to talk about the things that the government proposed to people and, that can actually drive people into a mental health state. That's a whole nother subject. So we got to get to the bottom of it. When they're coming out of jail, they need mental health. Young mothers need mental health. Older mothers need mental health. Young men raising children need mental health. Family counseling. Learning how to cope with everyday life. They shouldn't have to go through the court system and juvenile court systems. And they shouldn't have to go through any court system in order to get mental help. Because that's the only way you get anything done here in Charlotte. If you're in the court system. And a person shouldn't have to go through the court system just to get help. That's a no-no. There should be better resources. So I personally will be preparing a letter to the county of Mecklenburg to let them know what I feel they should do to address this issue. And to see if I can be of any service to help them as well. Because my success rate with kids and with young adults and even some older adults has been really good. Keeping them from doing crimes and keeping them from hurting themselves mentally and physically. So hopefully a good thing will come out of this. and we can see a better year next year. Or towards the end of the year, because I don't know how long their process is, and that's the problem, the process. Just like I explained to them in the council meeting, if a person needs mental health, they need it today. They can't wait a month, 2 months, a year on a waiting list. And who's been creating these waiting? Everywhere you go, everything is a waiting list. Just say no. But when it comes to mental health, you can't just say no. Because that's something that's needed. But on these other, everywhere you go, everything is a waiting list. And I'm turned into between apps, waiting lists, and social media, everybody's gonna be mentally disabled. Everybody. Y'all driving people crazy. First it was the passwords that was driving everybody crazy. Now your app crazy. And now waiting list crazy. Do y'all see the cycle? You all take care. Y'all have a wonderful evening. Y'all know how to get in contact with me. This is Jacqueline Richardson, Miss JJ Diamond, Jackie, Deja, whatever y'all call me. And I'll talk to y'all soon. I love y'all all.